and wide receiver. And each of you have made a top 5. We're going to go one by one, starting with the 5th duo on your list. Who's that, Brad?
Alabama's Ty Simpson at quarterback and Ryan Williams, former 5-star wide receiver. I could have really gone a bunch of directions here for this 5 spot, a lot of tandems worthy of mention, but I'd be remiss if I didn't include a wideout that I think has first team All-American potential. We saw what Ryan Williams did against Georgia last season with that pirouette spinning touchdown reception. You know, he had 200 yards in that game, a couple touchdowns. And then the second half of the year slowed down a little bit because of Jalen Milroe's inconsistency as a passer. Well, if Alabama's elite, then Ty Simpson, first-year starter at quarterback, is going to be a big part of that. And I think Ryan Williams, Emily, is a guy that we can be putting on the same pedestal as Jeremiah Smith if he's a more consistent player.
See, Brad, I see what you're trying to do right here. You started out at number 5, dear to my heart, University of Alabama.
It's warming you up.
He's trying to warm me up, but I'm not going for that. But I do like that pick. The only issue that I have in the pushback is Ty Simpson going to be our day one starter? We don't know that. And if he is even the day one starter, there's a chance that Keelan Russell is going to have an opportunity to come in. So if Keelan gets that thing rolling, yeah, we might see that number 5 duo not even exist. But I like that. So I'm going to go with my number 5. And I'm going to start it the same way I ended the last thing that I said to you. DJ Lagway and Trey Wilson. Just the impact of both of those players when they are together and healthy, puts Florida at the level of 8 wins. When we looked at Florida last year, we said, oh, my God, can they even get 4 out of this? But when DJ came into the game, you saw just the confidence of everybody, including the play caller, around him. And then Trey Wilson, when healthy, one of the most dynamic playmakers with the ball in his hands in terms of running it, catching it. Big play opportunity. So my 5th, DJ Lagway, and Trey Big Play Wilson.
Not to mention Vernell Brown, true freshman wideout. They're going to have some other guys who are 4- and 5-star pass catchers. I like your infatuation this offseason with DJ Lagway. I know you have him as the most improved quarterback. You've got him in your top 5, Smoke, and we know you like Lagway. And, hey, I mean, it's hard to argue. Florida's quarterback, as a true sophomore, is going to have a heck of a year.
All right, I just got to ask real quick. I call him Eugene Wilson. Should I call him Trey now? Are we going by Trey?
Well, I'm going to go Trey.
I just need to know because he's going to have a great year.
He
We know
gotta
that.
have
I'm going to be
last
saying
name.
his name a lot. I want to get it right.
I got a Trey.
Okay. We'll call him-
Somebody's going to have a Trey. DJ has a Trey.
Yes.
That's going to score a lot of daggone points.
Okay.
And score a lot of touchdowns.
I like it.
Catch the
I like
ball.
how we're starting off, too. The duos that you both picked for your number 5 spot, neither of you have in the top 5. So it's not like we're going to be talking about these guys in a little bit. But let's move on up to number 4. Brad, I'll let you start on this one. Who you got?
Arch Manning and Ryan Wingo at Texas. At some point of this conversation, it's going to come down to quarterback play. And Arch Manning is the Heisman frontrunner for a reason. I know we didn't see him a ton last fall, had a couple of starts and, relief of Quinn Ewers with that shoulder situation. But his go-to target, Matthew Golden, is off to the NFL. Isaiah Bond didn't get drafted where he thought he would, but he's gone too. So Ryan Wingo, former 5-star receiver, I think is going to have a 1,000-yard season. And Texas needs him to be a true wide receiver 1 for that offense. The SEC has a ton of elite pass catchers. Ryan Wingo is next in line with Arch Manning throwing him the football.
Yeah, Brad, you know what? I got them on my list, too. Just a little bit one level up. So we're close on this. But my number 4 duo, Garrett Nussmeier, Nick Anderson. Garrett, I believe, is the best quarterback right now, game ready, NFL ready in the SEC. And Nick Anderson, when healthy, you see catch radius, big play, all the way down the field, red zone target, and just that number 1 receiver that Garrett Nussmeier is going to need in the SEC in crunch time. And when you get into November and December and you need somebody in the red zone, Anderson's going to be open all day with that 6'4" frame. Throw the ball up, he's going to go up and rebound it. And you're going to see maybe Biletnikoff in Heisman-type candidacy.
Ooh.
Just throwing it out there.
Hey, speaking of Garrett Nussmeier, he's on my list at number 3, but I've picked a different wide receiver for LSU, not Nick Anderson, Barian Brown, the transfer from Kentucky, and he can run, man. He is a blazer at wide receiver. I spoke to an SEC coach a couple of weeks ago. He thinks that Barian Brown is going to be the most impactful transfer in the SEC regardless. of position. You know, he's a guy that has shined a little bit at Kentucky, mainly on special teams. But have you seen Barium Brown this spring? I mean, he's been smiling ear to ear every interview because now he has an NFL level quarterback throwing him the football. So I like Garrett Nussmeier and Barium Brown. Obviously, Smoke, this means you with Nick Anderson, LSU's wideout core, man, is pretty filthy.
Can't pick, yeah.
I'll be smiling too if I had Nick Anderson across with me as the number one option. But hey, listen, that's okay. I'm going to go to my number 3 option. You said it earlier as your number 4, Arch and Ryan Wingo. I just think Arch is in a groove right now. He's an ultimate cheat code when you talk about player that's gotten from his uncles, grandpa, and has sat down and learned how to play the quarterback position from one of the better play callers in the world. And then when you have Ryan Wingo, we saw in instances that he was a big play guy. But when you have 2 NFL-type receivers, it's okay to take that back seat. But this year is going to be his opportunity to become that number 1 target for he and Arch Manning to light the SEC up.
I think the fact that we've already mentioned Arch Manning and Garrett Nussmeier, those are quarterbacks projected to go 1 and 2 in the next draft. So I want to know who you got at number 2 on your list, Brad.
A quarterback who has not started a game yet, but he plays for the defending national champions. Julian Sain and Jeremiah Smith. This is more wide receiver heavy than quarterback, obviously, given Sain's lack of playing time, but he's a former 5-star for a reason. Nick Saban kind of modeled his 2024 signing class around Sain before he left for the Buckeyes. And we've already seen what Jeremiah Smith can do. I mean, I saw him up close a couple of times last fall, Rose Bowl, and then Atlanta against Notre Dame. And I was just blown away by his abilities, how he looks. I mean, standing next to him, he's like wide receiver 1 right now in the NFL, and he's only a sophomore in the Big Ten. So Jeremiah Smith, top returning player in college football. And if this was Will Howard, I would have this combo number 1. Julian Sain, we still got to see a little bit from him, but I'm confident that the former Bama signee is going to have a terrific year for the Buckeyes.
Right, I saw a lot of practice film in there. You sure this guy's going to be QB1?
A lot of scrimmages.
Yeah. A lot of scrimmages. But you know what? When you have Jeremiah Smith, the cheat code himself, I think he's 100 on the college football rating. Cooper Battagna's greatest player that he's ever scouted, seen. And a lot of people call me crazy for even saying that he's comparable to a Hall of Famer. But when you have that, I mean, you and I can probably play quarterback and be in this top 5 duo. But I like that. I just wish that we knew who was going to be that quarterback in 1 and what type of offense that they were going to be playing in order to project that. But, you know, I got my number 2. I already know what number 2 is for me. It's proven. You might not like this. Cade Klubnik and Antonio Williams. Listen, Cade put up monster numbers last year. This is year 3 with him with the same coordinator. Whenever Coach Sweeney has a receiver like this, in terms of big play, explosiveness, route running, the ability to get open in the red zone, score, go up and make contested catches in close confine and just with warm bodies around him, yet you can't do nothing but put them somewhere close to the number 1 spot. All I know is I said Cade's going to get 50 this year, right? Yeah, if I jump out there and say 50, he has to be number 2 for me. He's got to wonder who's number 1.
So believe it or not, Cade Klubnik and Clemson did not make my top 5. That's despite having Klubnik as my top quarterback in college football. This is a quarterback wide receiver duo ranking. And Clemson has too many options, man. Antonio Williams, yes, he's wide receiver 1, but they've got Bryant Wesco, former 4-star freshman last year. TJ Moore's going to have a great year. That's 3 options right there that I think Cade Klubnik is going to throw to this season. So I had trouble picking the top guy for Clemson outside of Klubnik, so I didn't have him in the top 5 at all.
So hold on, Brad. So the reason why you did not have my number 2 duo in your top 5 because they're just that good? Come on.
Too many options.
I could have said the same thing about Carnell Tate and Ohio State when you put –
Carnell Tate doesn't compare to Jeremiah Smith. You know that.
I agree with you, but there are very good receivers. At least I have a quarterback that's done it. 36 touchdowns, that's not good enough for you? Another 10 or so on the ground? Yeah, you have to throw him in. Listen, I know that you're a real big-time Gamecock fan, but you got to cut this stuff out.
Oh, my gosh.
I think secretly you have something against great players at Clemson and my uncle, Coach Sweeney. I believe that's what it
But
is.
he has been standing on business when it comes to Cade Klubnik in this offseason.
Thank
We've been
you,
all,
Emily.
well, I just think
Checks in the mail, Emily. Thank you.
well, no, I'll point that out, but then I'll also point out the fact that your number 2 you chose based solely on the wide receiver position because of how important it was. So for him, it's important that second part of the duo. A quarterback is not enough, right?
So even in your duo in LSU, you still have 2 really good ones. I'm just trying to figure out what and how
Yeah.
you got to your top 5. But listen, it's good for you. So I'm going to let you go ahead and continue. Don't hold you up any much longer when you don't have like real good players and 1,000-yard receivers and quarterbacks that's about to set the NCAA record in touchdowns and passing yards.
If
Sorry
you
for
had
that.
to pick a receiver to make a duo with Clemson, is there one that stands out to you, or is it that close?
I think TJ Moore's the guy. I know Antonio Williams has gotten some round one love, but if he was good enough to be a day one draft pick, he would have left this last cycle.
No, Brad, he wanted to come back and play one more season with Cade. So would
I
you.
understand.
If you knew he was going to go crazy in a good receiver year, I'd come back and play too. And also,
I mean,
he
the
said
good news is Clemson LSU play in the opener here in a few months, so we'll be able to settle this then.
Find
Okay.
out very quickly.
We'll-
real
we'll-
Tigers, real Death Valley, real wide receiver quarterback duo. We're going to learn a lot.
we'll reconvene later on.
Well,
But
what's
I like
perfect
this.
is we're going to come together.
Okay.
We separated with our number 2 choices, but our
Well,
number
yeah.
1, we do have consensus here. So, Brad, explain to us who you picked as the number 1 wide receiver quarterback duo.
Let's head out west for the first time in a long time in the preseason and go Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson. I mean, there's a reason that Arizona State had to open the bank account this offseason to keep Sam Levitt and Tyson in tow through NIL. I mean, those are 2 guys that are going to put up crazy numbers out there for Kenny Dillingham. I think they're the preseason favorite in the Big 12, which should be a wide open conference. But Levitt's going to be a dual threat superstar this season without Cam Scatterbo, and I think that means Jordan Tyson is going to get double-digit targets, perhaps catches every game. These 2 should put up big-time numbers, and I can see why a lot of folks are taking Arizona State to once again defend their crown in that conference.
Yeah, I mean, these are 2 talented football players. They got NFL written all over them. And when they're together, they go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And if we're not, if Jordan plays in the playoff game, we might be having a conversation about them going on further. But when you look at just the combination of speed, route running, hands, and then you look at Levitt, his ability to be accurate, timing, touch, they can really, really set the West Coast on fire and be the only one that we're talking about west of the Mississippi this year in terms of teams that can get into the playoff and scare people. Because like in college football, unlike the NFL, it's not defense that wins. You have to have points, proven passer, and a proven receiver that you have to have 2 on. That can open up the game for somebody else. That's why we like having 2 good or maybe 3 good receivers, Brad. Unlike you, only like having one guy.
Gosh.
I had to come back to that.
Especially in the Big 12, too. No, that's definitely a pick I think that's going to surprise some people. They surprised some people last year. They're not going to catch anybody off guard this year. Let's recap the final list to remind you who our guys, Brad and Smoke, decided were the top quarterback and wide receiver duos. We have consensus at the top with Arizona State. We got a little debate there with no Clemson on Brad's list, but he did acknowledge that he still loves Cade Klubnik and everything that he expects him to do this upcoming season. No surprise there. Arch Manning and, of course, Garrett Nussmeier both on that list. So those are the top quarterback and wide receiver duos. You can check out more of Brad's work. I'm not saying goodbye yet because you're not going anywhere. You're going to answer some ultimate burning questions, but I do want to remind the people that you do some great work on 247sports.com. He recently wrote about Notre Dame's home schedule, taking the 7 games from easiest to toughest. Also, the 10 true freshmen generating the most hype coming out of spring camp. You can check out those stories and so much more at 247sports.com.